So, when you think it can't get any worse for the UK, when you look at the current party in power and Keir Starmer and the Labour Party, and you think, surely they can't make it any worse for themselves. Like, they have the lowest approval rating ever for a political party in the first 12 months of being in power, and we've had some disastrous governments. And you think, surely it can't get any worse. They can't do anything else that would damage the reputation that the remaining few voters they probably will or do have would leave them for. You think they can't make it any worse for them? Surely they're on a path to try and recover some of these lost votes for when they do push on to the next general election. And then they go do something more extremely stupid than what they've already done in these last 12 months. It's incredible, isn't it? Absolutely incredible. The current government have decided to try and launch digital IDs. And the gaslighting on that is incredible. The fact that they have gone from the point of view of saying that it is to make borders more secure. You look at the current UK population out there at the moment, and the major issue on a lot of people's minds is illegal immigration, which is 100% fair to be on the people's minds. There's no issue with my immigration at all. It's a great help to the UK economy. What's not a great help to the UK economy is illegal immigration. Illegal immigration where these people are coming into the country, they're getting paid for to stay in the country. They're getting put up in houses. They're getting paid for their healthcare, and they're paid by the taxpayers. When did the taxpayers vote for this to happen? And you look at the security. These people are coming into the country. We don't know who these people are, and they're being allowed into the country to walk along the streets. The streets where maybe your children are walking down the streets by themselves, and they use that issue to gaslight as a reason to support IDs. It's just an absolute nonsense, isn't it? Absolute nonsense. And you look at this and you think, if they wanted to secure the borders, it could be something that would be done with the snap of the fingers. They can see where this illegal immigration is happening. They could put more security on the beaches on France, in the UK, whatever. The fact that they've used one of the main issues right now in the UK to support an agenda of putting through digital IDs is incredible by this government and incredibly stupid. You look at the errors that this current government have already had in these last few months, and you're thinking that the UK economy has been car crashed in the 12 months under the power of this government. You look at inflation, and inflation has gone sky high and been caused directly by the current government. You look at the lack of tackle of the major issue of illegal immigration into the country at the moment, and you're thinking all the other issues, the freezing of pensioners, the giving away of islands and having to pay for it. You're looking at also the lack of managing energy prices. You look at tackling the council hikes, the lack of inquiries into grooming gangs, and the list goes on of what this government has done. And now they're gone and gaslight the UK population once again by trying to install digital IDs in here. It's just absolutely horrible to see, isn't it? And why? Why do we need digital IDs? There's no need for it, is there? What is the point? We've got driving license, we've got passports. There's no need for digital IDs in this country, is there? It's just agenda. It's agenda to have more observation of people's lives, isn't it? There's no benefit at all. And you look at the cost. You look at the cost of this and what it's going to cost the UK. I've got it up somewhere around here. So they're saying the cost will be 140 million to 400 million in cost of taxpayers' funds. What a waste. And as we always know with these things, they always go incredibly over budget and they get it wrong. And I think there's already been 400 million spent on consultation already for this. What a waste of money. All the issues that we have in the UK. This is the problem with a lot of the governments that we have at the moment. You want to see governments spend your money carefully. You want them to spend money like it was yours. You won't go out and just splash the cash on stupid ideas. And the government seems to just do that all the time and waste money all the time. 400 million, and it's probably going to go over. To set this up, you're talking, in my opinion, you're going to billions. And then the running of it as well is going to be multi-millions. For what? To stop illegal immigration? What a load of rubbish. Absolute rubbish. The reason why this is coming in is to have more regulation, isn't it, at the end of the day? It's going to come to the point of view where it has the ability to control what people are able to do more often, isn't it? Where you're going to have to sign up this digital ID to your payments, and then it tracks what you're spending online. That's what the ultimate system is to build up here, which is just absolutely terrible. I thought after we saw what happened with the vaccine passports, to this day, I still can't believe that was a thing. The fact that if you had a vaccine or if you didn't have a vaccine would allow you to go into a certain building. People say like that this is not where it will end up. 100%. We saw that a few years ago that this is where it was heading to, is this vaccine passports where it would allow, depending if you had a vaccine, would be if you would allow certain events. That's something off like 1960s. Or 1950s where, you only can come in this building if you're this certain person. What is this? Absolutely ridiculous. And, I really hope there's a big protest, against this. I really do, because it is, just from the point of view of what it's trying to achieve, and the waste of money is absolutely crazy. And I tell you what, it's not often that you see someone like Farage and Corbyn agree to something. That's when you know something's ridiculous. If you're seeing them two agree to something, you know something's going wrong at the moment. And it's terrible. It's absolutely terrible where the UK is going. You just think it can't get any worse, and it just does. And this party that's in power at the moment, like, I never used to get really that involved in politics, but they're so bad for the UK that it's like, you got to call it out. You got to use your platforms to call it out, and it's awful, isn't it? It's actually awful where the UK is currently going at the moment. And who voted for this? What point was this in the manifesto for this to happen? We have to generally reassess this party that's in power and actually, think about, is it time that they have to move out here? The amount of devastation they've caused in the first 12 months of being in power is absolutely ridiculous. And I don't know if you saw it today, actually, but a new YouGov poll came out, and it said that Reform is going to, basically, if there was election tomorrow, would win the election, and they would have 111 seats, which is 15 short of majority. And this made me laugh because, this is where we're at in politics at the moment, isn't it? Because so many people concerned with the illegal immigration issue that's currently going on in the UK. And what we have is Reform. And Reform have come out from the point of view of going, we will stop illegal immigration. And then because that is the case, everyone's just voting for Reform because that's the topic on everyone's mind, which is understandable. But what happens then is we get someone like a Reform in power, and they basically don't have to say anything else. When people say, well, what's your plan for the economy? What are you going to do for the economy? Well, we'll see what happens. Illegal immigration, though, that's the main issue. And that's all they have to do. They just have to deflect all the time. And then you end up with someone like a Reform getting into power, and then, you might end up with some crazy economic policies that come in, and then all of a sudden we're in the same place in 3 months' time where everyone goes, well, these guys they stopped the illegal immigration, but look at the other issues that they've caused. And that's exactly what happened when this is how the UK got into the situation where we're in right now. Is we had 12 months ago, we basically had this guy here who his whole policy to get into power was, the last 14 years have been terrible under the Tory government. We won't lie to you anymore, and that's it. There was no economic policies because he didn't need to say anything. He just had to keep repeating that message, and people will vote for me, and that's what they did. And now people are realising actually there's a bit more than just being honest. You've got to have the policies in place on how you're going to make things better for the UK. And now people are realising these ideas that they had that are coming through, and you're like, well, that's not good, is it? If you knew that a few months ago, you might not have voted for it. But the problem is that when you're in those situations, they just have to keep repeating, deal with the main issue. And this is how the UK at the moment is ending in such a mess all the time. It was the same thing when the Conservatives were in power and they were able to win elections because they did such a bad job, but because they went, Brexit would make sure Brexit is going to be voted through, vote for us, and Labour went from the point of view of going, if we were in power, we'd actually do another referendum, and that's how they lost the election. The problem with the politics in the UK at the moment is that they basically end up with a party in power that has no idea and can be economic suicide for economy, because they go with the main agenda that whatever the UK population and what the main concern is, and they deal with it. Sometimes they don't even deal with it half the time. So it's just an absolute mess at the moment. Like, you think it can't get any worse for the UK, and obviously this political party that's in power, they've had a horrible 12 months. It's probably the worst 12 months I've seen of a political party, and they go make it worse for them, which is the issue. And yeah, I don't think this should be getting voted through. Don't see the point of it. What a waste of money. Who wanted this? And all the other issues that they've had with inflation, crashing the economy, obviously the illegal immigration situation that's going on at the moment, not managing the energy, the benefit cuts that they've done. I did mention that one earlier. The winter fuel allowance cuts they've been doing as well. And plenty of other things. The list goes on. It's been absolutely terrible, and then to add this on the top, it's just crazy. But the problem is that these guys have another 3 years in power yet. And then you look at the next 3 years and you think, well, probably the next party that's going to come in the next 3 years, they're probably going to deal with the issue that's on everybody's most concern list. But then after that, like we say, like, where do we go then? Because the issue is when the next party comes in power, that what are the other policies? What are the other policies around to make the UK a better place than just dealing with the one issue? And that's the other issue. The UK is really lacking a solid party that focus on just making the UK a better place at the moment, in my opinion. So, yeah, it's not good, and hopefully that this is something that's really sorted out for the UK, because this is not a place that we want to be going in at the moment. This is to be seen, to be walking around with papers about who you are is something that we've not seen since Germany in 1945, which we should not be going back to anywhere close to those sort of times anyway. So anyway, thought I'd talk about that anyway, because it's not great for the UK, and we'll get back to stocks on Sunday when we talk about the stocks I'm buying. See you in a bit.